want us to be ready to hit the ground running. Now, I just said that we didn't meet expectations last season, but we're one far away. We're one or two players maybe, in one or two certain areas. Key moments in games didn't go the way we wanted them to, so we aren't miles away, and we didn't need wholesale changes. And the guys we're going to bring in are hopefully going to add to that, and we're going to build up to have a good hit the ground running at the start of the season, as I keep saying, and take it from there really. A good start to the season makes a big difference, I think.
Do you think that obviously the season before was so successful, and then coming into that season so stop-start, do you think that sometimes a football fan's expectations can be a little bit skewed at times?
I think so. I think that realistically there are top teams in our league that we're all vying for the same kind of position, so it's going to be difficult to be up there every season. And the turnaround we had in terms of the players we lost, not just the players in terms of playing on the pitch, but the characters we lost in the dressing room, we basically had a full team turnaround. So the first Scottish Cup game we played this season against Newton Stewart, I think there was 2 people playing that had played the previous cup tie against St Mirren. So that shows you how much a turnaround we had. And one of those players was me. So there's been a big change at the club, but the people we brought in, we're happy with the people we have. All great guys, good characters to have around, good players as well, which is the most important thing. So although the expectation has been raised at Broxburn, I think that's where we need to be. I think it's a realistic expectation. I know everyone wants to win every game. Now, that's not going to be possible in a league as competitive as ours, but I see no reason to change the expectations for the club or set the bar in the law.
So I think obviously there's lots of chat about the pyramid system and what's going to happen, a lot of the unknowns in that. Is there ambition then to, I know you're saying it's a very competitive league, but somewhere in there is the hope to be able to challenge to get promoted?
Of course it is. And the good thing about the pyramid is that over the course of the years, each team will find the level they're meant to be at. So if mid to upper East of Scotland's where we're meant to be, that's where the club will end up. There'll be clubs above us that will end up going down past us, there'll be clubs below us that might end up rising above us. But every club's going to find their own level. And Broxburn, as a club in their community, I think we should be looking up the way rather than down the way.
Right, I'm going to put you on the spot here a bit. In terms of the squad, you mentioned last year, obviously, just a wee bit off where you wanted to be. You've got ideas of what you want to do. Obviously, Ross Allen's just joined and looking about at other things as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, and I hate doing scales of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being sort of not overly happy, where would you rate your happiness with the squad that you've got going into the season?
At the moment, I'm at 7.5, 8. Like, we aren't far off, and if I look at our best 11, really strong, and there wouldn't be many teams actually stronger than us, 1 to 11. If in my head I was picking a team tomorrow to play, but it's the additional pieces maybe, and the people to push people on a little bit. Maybe a few stronger characters needed for the important moments in game, which I think we let ourselves down a little bit last season. So we aren't far away at all. And the good thing is that each of the boys now are here by my say-so. It's not as if they've been signed by Max, they've not been signed by Brian, they've not been brought to the club by Hizzy. They're all here because Jack, Davey and I want them to be here. So I think that's important as well, that all the guys are here on my say-so now. So they have the belief and the confidence that I believe in them. So hopefully that can push them on as well. And we're expecting more for the younger boys as well who are developing. So I'd say probably an 8. I'm at an 8 now, but there's room for improvement.
You mentioned there, obviously, I was just about to ask about that, kind of putting your stamp on the team, and I know obviously you and Jack and Davey wanted to play a certain way last year, and I think the stop-start nature probably didn't help that, but obviously hoping to build on that this year, and like you said, the guys that are here now are the guys that we want to be, so how possible do you think that's going to be?
Well, we changed totally how we wanted to play. And some aspects have worked, some situations didn't. We need to find the right balance. But I need to maintain this myself, because I keep saying this to the players, but you need to stick with the process. So the results might go up and down, but the process needs to be the same. And the training's been excellent. The boys have really taken to the training, so that's been great. The work that Jack does with analysis and stuff like that as well, it's been really beneficial. So we're kind of trying to maintain the process that we've had all along, but in terms of the playing style, we need to find a bit of a better balance, because there's some times that it just isn't on to do it, and we were maybe trying to force it a little bit. So we've learnt for that. It did cost us in games last season, but at the same time, in the games that we've done it, and you were commentating on the games, it was really good to watch when it actually worked. And importantly, all the boys bought into it, and all the boys enjoyed doing it. So just getting that right balance is the next step for us.
You mentioned a process, yeah, for supporters at home, folk that hopefully will be back coming to watch the team. What would you say to them in terms of that process, like in terms of sticking with it? And yeah, it might not be perfect every week, but at the end of the day, yourself and Jack and Davey have got the club's best interests at heart.
Of course. The process hopefully works better this season, so hopefully I'll have nothing to moan about. But what I would say is that when you do come along, you expect to see nice, good football, you expect to see attacking football, you expect to see everyone working really hard for each other, and expect to see us passing the ball out for the back. Now, it's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but it's something the players enjoy as well, and that's something that's really important to get boys on side. They need to enjoy their football, and that's something we're trying really hard to achieve at Broxburn, to get people here and to get them to want to stay here and play for us, which I think you can see that everyone we wanted to stay this season has stayed, and the boys are really happy here. The feedback in terms of the way the club treats them and how we're going about things is really good. So that's definitely a positive of taking out the kind of truncated season as well.
I'll move on to squad update in a second, but I was here last weekend, obviously, and just describe that feeling to me of, obviously, they've trained in groups and stuff, but last weekend was kind of the first time everybody was back together. I could see the sort of vibe and reaction and sort of upbeat spirits, but talk me through the feeling for yourself and what the boys were saying.
It was great. Like, we've been training the West Lothian boys at Broxburn, the Edinburgh-based boys at Ainsley Park down at Spartans, and it's been like two totally separate teams a little bit. That distance between us, the boys from Falkirk and Stirling have not been training at all. So to get everyone back together on Saturday was brilliant. We've not seen each other since Boxing Day, so it was really great to have everyone back together. And it's obviously going along with the guidelines, but it was just great to see everyone. And we weren't training hard or anything like that. It was just, and these training sessions we're doing in the kind of closed season are just more of a social thing than anything else. It's just great to have everyone back. And the boys have missed it, and they've missed each other. As we've missed all the fans, and I'm sure the fans have missed coming to watch us as well. So we're keen to get back to normality as soon as we can.
Obviously, Connor and Gary got injured just before we shut down, but they were at training last weekend. Just give me an update on them.
So Gary's now fine. He's coming back from injury. He had a bit of rehab to do over the course of the kind of lockdown, which probably benefited him. The same with Connor. He's been working hard with the physio as well. So again, the club's looked after these boys really well in terms of sending them to physio and make sure they get the proper rehab and stuff. So it's paid off now because they're both back fighting fit for what I've seen so far. We've not done any fitness work though.
I don't know if we're at a stage where you want to talk about the squad, but just in general, feel free to give specifics if you want, but in general, do you feel like you're going to become the guys that you want to become, and if you can't say those stories?
Yeah, so it's obviously tough at this stage of the season to work out who's going to be around and who's going to move on. At the moment, Andy Grant's going to move on. He's been brilliant for us. The whole time he's been at the club, a great guy. On work commitments, travelling and stuff like that, we kind of amicably thought it was the best for Andy to find another club if that's what he's going to do. He's not sure yet. And Connor Kelly's going to be leaving us as well. So I can't speak highly enough of Connor and the service he gave to the club. He was absolutely a great player for the club, a great guy to have around. It was just the end of the kind of story here for him in terms of the natural cycle of we're kind of starting to bring new boys in that area of the pitch. Greg Binney kind of rose to prominence at the end of last season, so it felt like a kind of natural end point for that. But we can't speak highly enough of Connor. The dedication to come through for Stirling for 3 years now, the important goals he scored for us, the hard work he put into every performance, because he worked hard, really hard for the team, and most importantly, he was just a great guy to have at the club. So we're all sorry to see Connor go, but it's just football in the end.
And just sort of wider, hopeful to keep other guys maybe looking about elsewhere for some additions.
Aye, we've been looking for weeks and months, but because we want to have a massive turnover again, it's pinpointing specific positions and specific players, it's been a challenge again, because obviously we've not had that great an opportunity to watch other teams. There's obviously more videos and stuff out there now that you can have a look at, but we're kind of focusing on certain positions and certain people. So rather, it's not going to be a massive turnover like last season. So there will be names coming out, and obviously there's people still under contract at the moment as well. So it's difficult to say too much about that. But there probably will be comings and goings. But as I said before, we're in a kind of good space.
And I think probably the most important thing is, folk at home maybe want to know about yourself. Obviously, where do you see yourself being this year? Obviously, you played quite a bit last year, had an important impact on the team as well when you did play. And I know you're going to get all modest in that here and play it down, but just talk me through your thoughts and what your hopes are for you.
I'll be playing this season. Another learning point for me was I probably should have played before I did last season. I was maybe a bit too stubborn about that. And that's not taking away anything for how the other boys were playing. It was just in certain situations I think that could have benefited from me being back there. Because it's an important position, especially having a manager back there, kind of no barking out orders as such, but keeping people organised and on their toes and stuff. I think it's going to benefit people, especially the younger guys in our team. So it's on me now to get to a level of fitness that's going to make that achievable. But yeah, plan to be playing where possible.
And Jack and Davey the same?
Jack's having second thoughts about playing this season. So Jack, to be fair to Jack does a lot of the coaching and a lot of the organisation. So he's sometimes a bit preoccupied with that. So he's thinking about taking a step back, but again, it's an added bonus that we've got that option. If Jack needs or wants to play, he's there as an option. So, and Davey will definitely be playing, because I think Davey was one of the real positives for us last season, and we expected that because we knew what kind of player he was and what kind of person he is. But again, just around the club, Davey's a great guy, and he's been really rubbing off on the younger guys who have really taken to Davey as a person and taken on board what the way he looks after himself, the way he conducts himself. Davey's really tried to take Cammy under his wing, which I think it's clear to see the benefit of that for everyone. So Davey will definitely be playing.
Is there anything else that you would add?
No, just going back on what we were talking about before, about the boys leaving, it's important to say that the guys that we really wanted to stay or keen to stay, Cammy obviously signed a new contract earlier last season. Cammy's going to be with us. He had obviously a kind of breakout season, really enjoying his football, loves being at the club, loves how he's treated at the club. Sheggs is going to be staying. Obviously, Sheggs is club captain, so it's important to get that one sorted out. Again, Sheggs is going to be a massive player for us, and we missed him at times last season. Gordon Donaldson, another kind of stalwart, but we missed Gordon a lot last season as well. Young Greg stepped in well, but the experience Gordon brings to the team is great. A few people have been asking me about Ross Nimmo, but Ross Nimmo signed a few months back now. Perfect, happy to be at the club. As I say, all the boys we want to stay, we had no issue at all convincing them to stay at the club. So we had a few boys on 2-year deals, which was good. So we didn't have to go around the houses too much. But the boys, Greg Binney, obviously, I thought Greg was probably our best player at the end of last season. The work rate he puts in, he's desperate to do well for the club, which is a massive positive for us as well. So, we're in a good position with that, and hopefully there's more news coming soon.
Just 2 points off the back of what you said there, just before I let you go. Sort of, first of all, just keeping it out of that
my personal opinion was that it was probably the right call. That doesn't necessarily mean the club feel that, but from my perspective, getting the boys back to train intensively, then play those games intensively, didn't really suit us. And it seems a bit selfish because we were mid-table, it didn't really affect us. But what you kind of have to remember is we actually were in that position last season where we could have, if it continued, we'd be right there for winning the league. So we've had it both sides of the coin. So, but just from I know loads of people are saying, oh, it's good for the players to play. But I think what sometimes is forgotten at our level, that all the clubs aren't equal in terms of the expense of playing. Like, our costs to play are a lot higher than some of our teams in our league. So from us being mid-table, and it seems like a selfish thing for me, I'm not even sure how the club feel about it, but for me it would have been not a waste of money, but we would have been putting a lot of money into play for not much, really. We'd be in mid-table position. But if it came down to it, we, as a club, and I think you and I have discussed this as well, it's important that the pyramid stays intact. So I think if we could have done something with that, then that maybe would have benefited everyone.
And the question I'm going to ask now, actually make that bit first, but I lost my train of thought, is you're saying about these boys staying and the guys that you want to stay, obviously the sort of commitment to them training in separate groups and continuing to turn up and all of that. Every time I've spoken to guys, even Ross was saying that yourself was a big reason that came to the club. Last year, when you first came in as manager, I think some people maybe were like, oh, he was a player, is he too close to the guys?
Yeah.
How do you feel that's worked for you? Do you think it's been something that's played like a benefit for you?
I think it's been fine because I kind of had that kind of distance between myself and the players when Brian was manager, because Brian was kind of mentoring me a little bit towards maybe this happening eventually. So I had that kind of distance and that kind of relationship with the players, that I was kind of part of the coaching staff. But the way the players have responded to me has been absolutely amazing. I can't ask them for any more. I mean, the commitment they've all put into the club and the way the sacrifices they made for the club this season, not one bit of like hassle about the whole situation financially or organisationally or anything like that. Everyone's been brand new. I can't ask for a bunch of boys to go into this season with. And it's just touching on the commitment, we've never stopped training in terms of we do our HIIT classes on a Tuesday, and as soon as we're allowed, we started back up our kind of outdoor training. But the commitment for the boys have been first class, and hopefully that is they're kind of bought into me being the manager a little bit. But I think it's just shows you how good a group we've got, and I know the committee and you guys all back up the fact that the boys have been really good. When you hear some of the stories at other clubs, you think that could easily happen to us, but you know, the boys really stood up this season in that sense.